People think of happiness as a psychological feeling, and when I speak about happiness literally around the world, that is the point that I make. Integrity is a moral virtue. Courage is a moral virtue. Honesty is a moral virtue. Happiness is a moral virtue. That is my contribution to the theme of happiness. A lot of people have had a lot of wise things to say about happiness, but this is a contribution I believe that I have made that does turn people around in their attitudes towards happiness. Today's subject is Get Over It. That's the title of today's Happiness Hour, and the it is how your parents screwed you up. Right? To put it as bluntly, as inarticulately as I could. That's right, I put it as inarticulately as possible. Folks, let me tell you something. 99.463% of you listening were in some way adversely affected by one or both of your parents. 0.6 something of you, 0.6% were not. I never met such a person, but I'm just assuming they exist. It is impossible not to be in some way adversely affected by a parent. It's not possible. Human beings having that power over you at the weakest time of your life, and they will do everything right. Even if they do everything right, they will adversely affect you because they will offer you such a vision of perfection that you will always feel a failure. So even if they're perfect, it's a problem. What you have to do is figure out this. See, I'm not for denial. It's very important. I'm not for denying sad feelings or anything. When I say that people have to act happy, I don't want you to walk around in denying what you're feeling. That's not my point. Never my point. And I want you to have clarity over ways in which your parent or parents may have both, by the way, positively and adversely affect you. So you better know yourself. It's good to know yourself. Oh, this is the way I was raised. This is what resulted. Okay, I will now have to deal with it. But you deal with it, not with them, and unless it's an ongoing issue. I'm not talking about ongoing issues with parents. Okay? That's a separate subject. I'm talking about your childhood. And the biggest thing I'm talking about is walking around blaming them for how your life turned out for the rest of your life. There's got to be a statute of limitations beyond which you don't blame mom and or dad. It just has to be. You figured out this is what they did. They did their best. They did half their best. They did 3/4 of their best. They had their own issues, or she had her own issues, or he had his own issues. They're human, and that is the nature of life. Dr. Stephen Marmer, the psychiatrist at from UCLA, who's the one regular guest, in fact, the only guest on Happiness Hour, I think. It's very rare that I've had a guest maybe once a year who isn't Dr. Marmer. I don't think we have that. No, it's always Dr. Marmer. Rarely we've had an author, and it doesn't work out as well. We should have them on a regular hour. Happiness Hour should really be mine. And when we have Dr. Marmer on. So he has a very interesting outlook on this issue, lifetime being a psychiatrist. And that is this. The goal of a parent ought to be to pass on to their child or their children half of the neuroses, half of the issues, problems, whatever word you wish to use, that they inherited from their parents. But it's still there. There's still a body of problems. But at least you halved it from what you inherited from your parents. Folks, we don't live forever. What year will you decide to stop blaming mom and or dad? What year will that be? I'll tell you what year it'll be. It'll be the year you are liberated. It'll be the year that you can become fully adult. I'm not saying deny what they did. You have to know what they did so that you know yourself, and then you can work on that. But to walk around, they're my problem, she's my problem, he's my problem, or was my problem, is not good for you, and is often not fair to the parent. Great biblical verse, my favorite book on earth, the source of the wisdom that I have, the Bible. Therefore man shall leave his mother and father and cling unto his wife, and they shall be as one flesh. Man can't be a man until he leaves his mother and father. And ironically, then he can really love his mother and father after he leaves them. And she too. And she too. Did I make that clear? And she too? 1-8-PRAGER-776 is the phone number. Dennis Prager, the Happiness Hour. Up to the Prager Show, the Happiness Hour. a reminder that the best of the Happiness Hour is available, beautifully gift-wrapped. What is it, 4 CDs? Yeah, Best of Happiness Hour. Okay, nobody knows. I think it's 4 CDs. It's a beautiful case. I've seen that. Maybe 4 or 5. Call the office, I guess because we're getting closer to Christmas here, 800-225-8584. Give you a lot of ideas. Best of, also the other hours are available, male-female hour. Now, that's a thought-provoking gift. People will listen to it, and hopefully it will benefit them. 1-8-Prager-776 is the number for here. That's the other was the office number. People, since the advent of psychotherapy, and especially since the 50s and 60s, well, 60s, I guess, have been preoccupied with the issue of, this is what my mother did to me, this is what my father did to me, I'm screwed up because of my parents. You may very well be screwed up because of your parents. It doesn't matter. It is time to unscrew the connection and to unscrew, that doesn't mean ignore them. I'm never for that. I believe you still have to honor your father and mother. It's in the 10 Commandments. But you have to unlock and walk out of that box that you put yourself in, the it's my parents' fault box. It's a prison. 1-8-Prager-776, the number, Bloomington, Minnesota, and Peter. Hello, Peter. Dennis Prager.
Hello, Dennis. Thank you for taking my call. I understand. I hear what you're saying, and I think on some level, on the face of it, it's probably good advice. But it's just a lot easier said than done, especially if your parent.
Wait, let me just say something, Peter. Hold that thought. I just want to tell you, everything that I recommend is easier said than done.
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, no, you know what? I'm glad you knew. Good.
Well, with the kind of parents we've heard you talked about that you had, it's just a different. I called my mother. My mother turned 83 this year. I called her on her birthday to wish her a happy birthday, and she ended up screaming at me for 5 minutes, almost 5 minutes. It seemed like 5 minutes. I didn't know because I put the phone down every so often and then pick it back up, just like you suggested to do.
Yeah, that was what my father did with his mother. Look at that. My father is listening, I'm sure, in New Jersey and cracking up now.